Arjun was a young man in his 20s, full of dreams but trapped in a whirlwind of pressure. Every morning, he woke up to a flood of notifications, deadlines, and tasks that seemed impossible to complete. The city around him moved fast, almost too fast, and he felt like he was always falling behind. No matter how early he woke up or how late he stayed awake, there was never enough time. The alarm clock's harsh beat felt like a warning rather than a start to a new day. Even his own thoughts raced faster than he could control, jumping from one worry to the next. At work, Arjun struggled to focus. Meetings, emails, and projects piled up on his desk like mountains he could never climb. He tried multitasking, thinking that doing more at once would help him catch up, but the harder he worked, the more scattered he felt. Simple decisions became overwhelming, and small mistakes seemed to grow into disasters. Deep down, he knew that he was exhausting himself, but the fear of falling behind kept him running. Every night, he lay in bed staring at the ceiling, his mind still full of unfinished work and unmet expectations. Sleep was a stranger, and peace was almost forgotten. Arjun's friends noticed the change. Once cheerful and full of life, he was now tense, irritable, and often impatient. They suggested taking breaks, slowing down, or even talking to someone about his stress. But Arjun brushed them off, believing that slowing down would mean failing. In his mind, life was a storm, and the only way to survive was to rush faster and fight harder. The more he tried to control everything, the more out of control he felt. Anxiety became a constant companion, whispering that he wasn't doing enough and that time was always slipping away. One evening, as he walked through the crowded streets, the lights blurred and sounds became overwhelming. He felt trapped inside the storm of life, and for the first time, he realized that his speed and effort weren't helping. Nothing he did seemed to calm the chaos inside him. He stopped in front of an old watch shop, drawn by the gentle ticking inside. The shop was small, quiet, and unlike the noisy world outside. Behind the counter stood an old man with calm eyes and a gentle smile. The watchmaker seemed to move with a rhythm that didn't exist in Arjun's world. Curiosity mixed with desperation, and Arjun stepped inside. The watchmaker didn't rush. He simply observed Arjun with quiet patience. "You seem lost in time," the man said softly. Those words hit Arjun harder than any alarm clock ever could. For the first time, he realized that the problem wasn't the clock, the city, or the deadlines, it was him. He had been trying to fight time instead of understanding it. Arjun's heart pounded, not from stress, but from the sudden awareness that he needed help. The storm inside him was strong, but maybe, just maybe, there was a way to find calm at its center. Arjun entered the quiet watch shop, still breathing heavily from the storm of thoughts inside him. The old watchmaker smiled gently and gestured to a small wooden chair. "Sit," he said, "and listen for a moment." Arjun hesitated but obeyed. The room was filled with the soft ticking of hundreds of clocks, each moving at its own pace, yet together they created a calm, steady rhythm. Arjun realized that for the first time in weeks, the world outside seemed distant. It was as if he had stepped into a different reality, one where time was not an enemy. The watchmaker spoke slowly. "Time is not something you can chase. It is not something you can control. The storm you feel comes not from the hours or the minutes, but from your mind. When you rush, you scatter your energy. When you panic, you lose clarity." Arjun listened, feeling a strange warmth in his chest. The words were simple, but they carried a truth he had never understood. He had always believed that speed, constant movement, and doing more would solve everything. Now he saw that it had only made the storm stronger. The mentor taught him a simple exercise: to pause, breathe deeply, and notice the present moment. Focus on one thing at a time, the watchmaker said. Notice its rhythm. Respect it. This is how you master time. Arjun tried. He closed his eyes, counted his breath, and for the first time felt a tiny space of calm inside him. The storm was still there, but it no longer seemed to control him. A small seed of hope began to grow. Days turned into weeks, and Arjun practiced this every morning and evening. He learned to prioritize, to respond instead of react, and to accept that some things were beyond his control. When chaos arrived at work, he did not panic. He approached each task calmly, completing them one by one. His friends noticed the change. He smiled more, spoke softly, and listened patiently. Even when life threw unexpected challenges, he no longer felt swept away. He had become the anchor in his own storm. One evening, Arjun returned to the watch shop to thank the old man. The watchmaker simply nodded, "The storm never stops. But now, you stand steady within it. Calm minds act faster, see clearer, and live fuller." Arjun left the shop with a sense of peace he had never known. He realized that life would always have storms, deadlines, stress, unexpected problems, but his inner calm was stronger than any chaos outside. The moral of Arjun's story is simple: you cannot control every moment of life, but you can control yourself. By mastering patience, focus, and calm, anyone can find strength in the midst of pressure. The story inspires us to slow down, breathe, and trust our inner rhythm. The storm may rage around us, but we can become the anchor that holds steady. This is the power of mastering time and calm, the power to face life with confidence, clarity, and hope.